cigarettes like 25 cents a pack or
Right,
something.
right.
I mean, it just everybody smoked
Yeah.
back in those days. That was any big deal.
So, any memories from, when did you remember when Grandpa built the Hillcrest house there at the bottom of
He
the hill?
helped build that. He helped him and a couple contractors from town. I don't
what
remember
year it
what
was?
year. I
We'd
don't
have to look
remember
at the
what year it
deed,
was. I
but
don't know, but yeah, I don't.
is that your main memories of
Yes.
home? Is
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
house is
Yeah,
home?
that's when I was going to Don Bosco when
Okay.
I lived there. So I went to Don Bosco in '62. So
Right. Okay.
But yeah, I don't remember anything before then. I think I don't
So
know.
when you think of home, those are the different
Yeah,
types of
that's
things
pretty
that you
much,
just
yeah.
kind of think of home with any of that stuff then too. So you go to the Bosco and that whole thing. You also pick up. I think you pick up another sport. You start playing a little basketball.
Mhm.
So kind of tell me about your high school years and some of the different things that
See,
you remember
I
about
was
that.
not really part of the clique because I'm a little poor, you know?
Right.
So I wasn't part of the Gilbertville and the Jessup and the Raymond group, but
Right.
and some of the friends I have to this day are the ones I met in basketball, because baseball wasn't a big sport back in those days. We didn't really have a coach except for a couple of years, but yeah, I didn't play much. Junior year I played some. Senior year I didn't even start as a senior, but I still ended up scoring 34 points before the 3-pointer came.
Were there a lot of guys? I mean, was there? I mean, what was basketball like in
Well, basketball
in the
was the whole
60s?
thing at Don Bosco. That's all they had going for them.
Right.
They didn't have wrestling. They didn't have anything.
Right.
And that's when girls knew their place. Pom
Yes.
pom girls and cheerleaders.
So was there like JV, or it was just only everybody just showed up at 7:30? There was one game, and that was it.
No, I think there was a JV game. I
Okay.
remember. Yeah, JV. I don't think we had junior varsity, but we didn't have the numbers, for too many teams. 'Cause
Right.
The school wasn't that. So,
And-
but we had a really good coach, and he had some really good teams.
And
If
who
they
was
would
that?
be in the class system now, they would have stayed a couple times, because when Gary Shones and Mark Rozier and some of those guys.
Who was your coach? You remember?
John Burkett was his
Okay.
name. He went on to coach a college team, a
Okay.
junior college team out west somewhere. But he was good. He wanted to win real bad.
Right.
He'd come and pick Gary Shones up on the farm, take him to practice, and bring him back.
Yeah.
That's how bad he wanted to win.
Where were some of the towns or some of the schools that you placed? I know many of them.
Cresco, Notre Dame,
Okay.
Cascade, Aquin, Algona, Garrigan, Sacred Heart, Oline, Sacred Heart. I don't know if these schools even.
Right, now most of these, the Algona Garrigan's the only one I recognize
Really?
that still exists
Yeah,
today.
Cresco, and then those are long trips.
Right,
Cresco's
yep.
a long time from
Yep.
Gilbo. So is Cascade.
So it's mainly small
Small
Catholic
Catholic
schools.
yeah.
Okay, that was
See,
kinda
back in
good.
those days, you were lumped in with West and everybody else went to state tournaments.
Right.
So first round, you go out and play West High. I mean, it's got 800 kids and you got 150. I mean,
Right. So back in like the Hoosiers days types of
That's right.
things that you were trying to
Yes.
be the small town.
So if they were in classes like now, they would have done really well. I
Right.
mean, they just, that's the way it was.
Yeah. Academically, what were some of your favorite subjects in school back in high school?
I don't know. I like math. I don't know. I was just an average student. B,
Right.
maybe B plus to A minus. I was never great in high school. I don't know. I don't really know if I had a favorite subject. See, that's another period of my time I just kind of went through.
Yeah.
I got no bad memories.
Right.
You talk to some of my classmates, oh man, that was the best time of my life. Nah, I don't think so. It was all right, but
Right.
I didn't, I wouldn't go on and on about high school.
Right.
We had, we had some nuns for teachers and some lay teachers, and I don't know, it was just one of those things. I don't know.
Attended a few
I got no-
dances from time to time.
What, in high school?
Yeah.
Well, I always went and watched, yeah.
Yeah.
I had 2 dates in high school. So
Right.
That was pretty good. That was really the stud.
And who the two dates were?
Well, Mom was one of them.
Okay, she was one.
She was the highlight.
Right.
And Pat Brennan, who is a author now. She
Okay.
writes children's books.
Okay.
In fact, Bill Gates commissioned her to write a book for his kids. That's how.
Right.
And Mom says she goes in classrooms and there's books by this Pat Brennan Damuth. I think.
Right.
Pat Damuth Brennan. How does she go by? Pat Damuth
Yeah,
Brennan
Brennan
Damuth. But there.
And she dated you.
No, I just took her to the junior prom. I didn't date. I was too busy playing basketball.
But
and baseball.
play basketball and baseball.
And our junior baseball team was the first one that ever won the sectionals at Don Bosco. 1965. Was the first team that ever won sectionals. They didn't hardly have baseball hardly
Right.
even when I was there. When they started, they never had baseball. But
So was it played in the summer like it is now?
Mhm.
Okay.
yeah.
Did you play, was there Legion Ball? Was there
No, there
nothing like
wasn't
that,
any of that
anything
stuff.
like that
Wasn't
stuff
any
in
of
that
that
stuff
stuff,
then
no.
too? So obviously, yeah, playing LaPorte was probably a big deal for you.
Yeah. And I remember Mark Rozier playing in LaPorte in the summer, so I'm not so sure Don Bosco even had a summer team. I think it was just during the school year.
Okay.
Was it spring? Would have been spring?
Yeah,
back in those days?
back then they had, probably had fall, they had
Well,
spring,
this
they
was
had
spring. I don't
summer and
think- I
everything
don't
like
think
that.
it was,
Anything like
fall.
that, with that too, so. So what do you remember? You took mom to senior prom, what do you remember about that?
Well, somebody had to talk me into asking her.
Who-
My
who-
cousin, Joan Rozier,
Okay,
and Alan Shones and
Jan.
Jan Rozier, Jan.
Yep.
And I mean, we had fun. I mean,
Right.
I remember it rained when we went to the Elks, I think, and it rained. There's leaves all over the place, so we just took the car to the car wash and washed it off, and
that was the highlight of
that was
the.
the highlight of the whole thing.
And some of the guys you palled around with during high school, who were some of those guys?
Well, it was Denny Stabell, Jerry Tummy. I don't know. I was Steve Phillips, Steve Runninghouse, I guess. You know, it's hard when you live in LaPorte and they all
Right.
live in Gilbertville and Raymond.
Yep.
I mean, you can see them.
Just that
Somebody has a
story.
party or
Right.
something. But it's not
So
like-
what was a party like in the 1960s
I don't know.
in
I
Gilbertville,
don't remember.
Raymond?
I
area?
remember I go out to Ann Bagby's one time and they just had a campfire and I mean it wasn't. They had music and food and I don't know. It wasn't. I don't remember a lot of the parties.
Because you were at the drugstore at the tavern,
Well,
right?
I was working. I was probably working. You know.
So at some point, high school ends and you have to go to college.
Okay.
So how did
Again, that wasn't my choice.
that wasn't your
My,
choice?
my folks thought I was going to be a priest.
Okay.
Well,
And so if you're going to be a priest and coming from our area, you go where?
I went to Loris.
Loris College in Dubuque.
Then I discovered girls, and so much for being a priest.
How long? I mean, so
Well, I didn't go. You see, usually when you go to Loris, you go to Roman Hall. That's where all the priests go.
Right.
So I just went to Beckman Hall, and I just
Right.
took my GE courses or whatever
Yep.
it was that you do when you just first get in and see how things go. And you know, one thing led to another, and you know, I decided that wasn't a vocation for me.
Right.
Then a friend
Did
of
you
mine-
have to tell grandma and grandpa? I mean,
I
no,
don't think
not
they
so
never-
much.
They never pushed me too much.
Okay.
I don't know whose idea that was. I don't even know who put that in their head because I was such a great older boy. I guess.
Yes, stellar altar boy. You know those priests. Pick up on those
Oh,
stellar
sure,
altar
yeah.
boys. Like you make a good priest, and so grandma had in her mind that you were going to go to Loris. With that, who you remember like some of your early roommates at in Loris?
I was-
at Loris?
I remember Jim. I can't even think of his last name. Jim Lloyd. I was with him for 2 years, and then freshman year I don't remember who I was with. I can't remember his name, but then I joined a secret fraternity. ETZ was the name of the. Yeah,
ETZ
it was a secret fraternity.
secret.
Well, it was not recognized by the school. It was
So
a-
what does
it was a
ETZ? Is it? It's
Epsilon Upsilon
the-
Sigma, I think.
okay.
But they did a lot of charity things. I mean, they did things to help the school. And I think as time went on, they got in trouble, though. And I'm not sure that's even there anymore.
Well, if it was a secret, if it was a
Well,
secret
no,
fraternity.
I mean, he had sweatshirts.
Right,
and
I know,
everything,
but it wasn't recognized
it
by-
wasn't recognized
by
like
this-
the rest of them.
Okay, all right.
And the only reason I got into that is because intramurals, I played basketball, and I did pretty well playing basketball. And it's pretty much a jock fraternity.
Right.
So, but not that I was a jock by any means, but
So what are some memories from
I
Loris
remember-
College?
the pit where they played basketball, that was fun because you're right there on the floor, and they had some good teams. And just going down to basketball games, and we saw Fifth Dimension. We saw them there one time
Okay.
at a concert, and that's when they're first coming out. That was pretty cool. That's back in the '60s.
Well, I heard
early
this.
70s.
What was the big? Wasn't there a big cheer that you did during the basketball games?
Well, some of the guys had a silent cheer, where they just raise up their hands in a fist, and nothing comes out. Just that was a silent cheer.
Yeah. And I've asked people who've gone to Loris since then, and they've never heard of the
Yeah,
silent
okay,
cheer. So it
well,
must have just been during that time
Maybe it
period,
was, I don't know.
or
Probably some of the drunks.
something
I don't
like
know.
that. That's right. That secret fraternity too, with any of that stuff then too. At what point do you reconnect with Diane Jones?
Steve Reinhouse came down, I think, freshman year, and I don't know, he was a friend of ours, and he was going to UNI, and him and Diane used to hang out together and do stuff. Says, Diane's looking pretty good. He says, I don't know if he said she lost any weight or not. I don't remember him saying that, but I said, she really, so I wrote her a letter, and I don't know, we got together over Christmas or something, and
So this was your freshman year then?
I don't know, it was a freshman or sophomore year.
Sophomore year, okay. And so you started just,
Yeah,
and
well,
obviously
we met
this,
her at a basketball game at Don Bosco, and we went up to the Hong Kong, and I sat down and I looked, I said, man, this girl's hot. I can't believe nobody is, she looked really good, really good.
and so you just continued the courtship
Yeah,
as you go through
back
college?
in those days you didn't have cell phones, you
Right.
wrote letters, and I didn't have a car, so I used to hitchhike home, I mean.
What kind of experience was hitchhiking?
Well,
was it a? I
it
mean,
was-
obviously it's pretty scary now, but back
Well,
then it was not a big
St.
deal.
Louis Boulevard, I had a suitcase, I just put Waterloo on it.
Right.
And somebody'd pick me up and eventually and take me out, and I don't know, one time they dropped me off in Farley. That's not a good place to be dropped off.
No.
People going 65, 70 miles an hour back in those days.
Right.
So I stood there for a while, and then you got right back into Waterloo, and by that time,
Did you have to
somebody
pay?
would-
Did you give people money? Nothing like that. They
no,
just
it's
offered.
nothing
They
like
just
that. They just offered, and I don't know. Back in those days, it was pretty common.
truckers or just
No,
just
these are
just
people in car
cars, so
salesmen or
things.
something.
Okay,
It's
just looking for some.
yeah, you didn't even think twice of it back in those days, I guess. And I'm not sure. Once I got to town, I must have called somebody. I don't know.
Right.
So I don't know, but
The old payphone for a
Yeah,
nickel or a
probably,
dime or
yeah.
something like that.
those different times. That's
Right,
for sure.
yeah.
Man. They throw you in jail now for hitchhiking.
Right. Right. So what? During did you have a job? Were you doing anything while you're going to school?
When I was at school, I was working in the gym. They had a small gym, just not the main gym, but a small one. They'd open up on weekends for people to play basketball, or whatever it was. Need somebody to monitor the gym.
Right.
So I made spending money doing that. It was, I don't know, $30-40 a week or whatever it was back in those
Yeah.
days. But yeah, I've always worked just doing something. Just
Right.
but you don't need a lot of money. Everything is paid for.
Right.
And it wasn't like I was hanging out at the bars or anything.
Right. Right. You came home in the summer then?
Yeah.
Summers, and what'd you do during the summers?
Used to drive dump truck. I was enough to pay. It was $1,600. I was talking to Mark Rozier this funeral. $1,600 a year is what it cost to go to Lawrence back in those days. That's room, board, and tuition. And I was driving a dump truck for $10 an hour. And I made enough in the summer to pay for my college. That was a pretty good job back.
That
$10
is a really
back in those days.
absolutely, yeah. It's
I was driving at the quarry at Eagle Center, and then I got on at It used to be it's Manats now. Welton McCartan.
Okay.
When they built the mall,
Yep.
I was hauling blacktop across the street when they built that mall.
okay.
So I did that for
Crossroads
3 or 4
Mall,
summers. Now those are good summer
Oh,
jobs. Anytime
absolutely.
you get a job driving a truck, that's a good job. So I made enough to pay. I didn't have
Right.
any college debt when I left.
Good.
So that was pretty good going to Loris. That was pretty cool.
And during this time period, we're talking the late '60s, early '70s, the Vietnam War is going on.
Mhm.
So, what was how did that influence or affect your
Well,
life? or
junior year I
anything?
went to the National Guard.
And why? What was that
I
decision?
guess, so I didn't have to go to Vietnam, I assume. I guess that's what it was about. So I took a year off, so I didn't actually graduate till 1971. Should have graduated in 70, but I
Right.
took a year off. And then came
So,
back.
what was that year? What did you do in the National Guard, and where was that at?
Well, I was at Fort Leonard Wood in Missouri.
Okay.
I went through basic training, AIT, and then the whole time I spent just at Fort Leonard Wood.
Still writing mom back and forth.
And yeah, and they did have a phone thing on Sundays where they had a phone
Yep.
thing you could go and use a phone.
Yep.
So I used to call her on Sundays and writing. But I'll tell you though, that was the best shape I was ever in my whole life,
Mm-hmm.
man. Used to run and exercise, PT every day, man. I was.
So you spent a whole year.
6
doing that.
months.
6 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
But boy, that's the best shape I've ever been
Right,
in.
okay.
That's good.
And so what was the obligation back then?
7 years.
7 years,
I
so
was in National Guard for 7 years.
for 7 years, okay, all right. And
But, you know, I'm considered a veteran, but it's not like I served any
Right,
overseas duty or anything, so I have a hard time when people say, well, you're a veteran too? Yeah, I know I am, but I did give them 7 years.
right, yeah,
Weekends and summer camps and,
yep.
for 2 weeks every summer for 7 years, so it was an obligation.
I vaguely remember that as a kid, you being gone, and for,
What was it? One time I came home and the summer camp and somebody broke, DJ broke his collarbone.
No,
you got
I had stitches.
You had stitches and you.
I had stitches, yeah.
That was,
Yep,
I just
I
got
went
home.
up at the churchyard and you had just coming home and we were all excited and I think Bob, I think we were supposed to meet you and we were at the emergency room and, yeah, so I fell off my bike, tried to jump something up at the churchyard.
Oh.
So, yeah, I distinctly, no, maybe that one was the coffee table. Fell off the couch and hit my eyebrow on the
think
coffee
that might have
table.
been
That
that
was
one.
that one,
I
yeah,
think that
so,
might have been
an
one.
accident-prone Chad here, so. So I assume maybe during the time you're in the National Guard or whatever, you probably come to the realization you wanna get married?
Well, yeah, we talked about it. I guess when I got back, because I was in Roman Hall then,
Right,
senior
okay,
year, and Mom had that apartment, and I'm sure we talked about it. I
right.
don't know.
And so, some elaborate.
Yeah, you know
So-
what the story is of that.
Some elaborate,
Yeah.
so you pull out,
Pull out the
well,
phone, ring
you
it,
went and
glove-
bought the ring somewhere, right?
glove box. Hey, there's your graduation or your congratulations present for something in there, and it was a ring.
Yeah, so, yeah, well, it must have been her college graduation,
Must have
because
been.
she would graduated in May, and you got married in November, so the gift was her engagement ring, which was in the glove compartment as you were talking to Gary.
Pretty romantic,
Yes,
if I
yes,
remember
that's
right.
right, that's right.